If you were a Portland area teenager during the golden age of rock and roll, you quite possibly were at television station KPTV, dancing to the strains of Buddy Holly, Paul Anka, or Elvis.
Well, Bob Allen takes us back to the early days of Portland rock and roll with a look at High Time, Portland's answer to American Bandstand.
High School USA.
From 1957 until 1962, every weekday afternoon between 4 and 5 p.m., teenagers from the entire metropolitan area were usually at home watching High Time, Portland's answer to American Bandstand. Originating from Studio One at KPTV Channel 12, High Time was hosted by a young announcer named Gene Brendler. Although High Time has been off the air for a long time, Gene Brendler has remained at KPTV.
Each show obviously was different. You had, different kids coming in to dance. Each show had a different personality because of the kids who were here. When it first started out, we would administer or dispense tickets on Saturday for the following week, and the lines went clear around halfway around the stadium. So it was very popular.
When it was in its heyday, what was it like in here?
Madhouse, absolute madhouse. The studio here, which is not, a real large studio, big enough, would be just jam-packed. I mean, very, very difficult to dance. Frankly, it took on the odor of a gym because you had your hot lights on. It was black and white then, and it got pretty steamy in here toward the end of the hour. But the kids enjoyed it. They would stand and just dance like this because they couldn't move.
What were the kids like?
Hard to communicate with because by this time, what was I? Something like my late 30s, and they were, teenage. They were pretty independent for the most part. They didn't cause any trouble. They would do, practically anything that you asked them to do if it was part of the program. But there was that gap where I didn't feel their music because that was not my music. I am the Les Brown, the Gene Krupa, the music of the 40s. Generally, it was well received. The one problem we had is that we kind of broke new ground. We had kids from the black sector of Portland come on the program, and it was all right as long as they didn't win a dance contest. It would seem, we'd get no calls or anything. But if a couple of black teenagers would win the dance contest, we'd get a lot of abusive phone calls.
Gene, could you name some of the stars that appeared on the show?
Well, some of the stars included, like Jimmy Boy Clanton.
She was lonely, looking for a lonely boy.
Eddie Cochran was another one that came by. Eddie's career was really starting to take off. Paul Anka, of course, you don't have to say anything about Paul. Look where he is today. Buddy Knox, he was kind of a very bashful, very withdrawn type of individual, and you wonder how he ever got started in the music business.
That'll be the day when you make me cry, you say.
Buddy Holly, of course, a different personality altogether, and unfortunately we lost him in an air crash. I can't think of anyone else.
Frankie Lyman.
Oh yeah, there I go, forgetting Frankie Lyman. We did have people like, well, Esther Williams came up, and she was on the show one day. As a matter of fact, I danced with Esther. A big thrill of my life. Liberace was on the program, but he wasn't the type of music the kids were interested in. And I was with the show for, 5, 6 years.
Were you the star of the show?
No, I was not the star. The kids were the stars. People who would be on the program 2, 3, 4, or 5 times a week. And they would shoot automatically to instant stardom. When they would walk in the studio, the reaction from the other kids would be like, oh, here comes the star, you know, or here, look who's walking in.
Gene, everybody I've talked to about this show has mentioned Nick Mondru. Now, why was he such a big star?
Nick knew the camera was on him, and he performed. It was all automatic, though, with them. And I suppose, really, to get a chance to dance with Nick, if you were a young teenage girl, was probably the wish of a lifetime in that particular time. It's amazing.
After High Time, Nicky Mondru toured with the Drifters as a musician and spent some time working with Evel Knievel. We had a chance to get Nick back into the studio and share some of his memories. Nick, did you always know where the camera was?
Sure. Didn't take him long. Didn't take him long to find where the camera was.
There was a couple of them around here all the time.
Can you tell me about the kids that you were dancing with?
Well, we were all about the same age, and they wore their petticoats, and all the girls, you know, and then the guys had their thin belts and rat-tail comb and maybe a penny in their loafers.
Why do you think High Time was such a big thing?
It gave a certain group of kids a chance to do something they enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was a nice way of meeting new people and having a good time at it, and you know, it was a nice place to have it at right here.
Franklin High and Madison, David Douglas and Bremerton, Rogers, Benson, Sunnyside, Queen Anne and Garfield High, Highline, Wilson, Shoreline too. Well, I want to do the high school about with you. There was Lincoln High and Longview, Benson, South and Franklin too, Roosevelt and Pendleton, West Seattle and Jefferson, North Central, Rogers too. Well, I want to do the high school about with you.
And that's all for tonight. Good night.
Join us next week. Good night.
Next week on Front Street Weekly, Oregon leads the nation in programs for the elderly, which keeps them out of nursing homes and saves millions of tax dollars. Yet some argue that the program could backfire.
The restaurant business is risky at best, and next week a new one with a different premise. Will it succeed?
We'll take you south of Eugene for a look at the Curtin General Store and the characters who shop there.
Mick Fleetwood, John